Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I do believe that we live in somewhat of a banana republic. And the Alejandro Mayorkas impeachment today in the Senate has completely confirmed this to me. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to UnwokeThoughts. Just a little bit of a black pill today, but Alejandro Mayorkas, his impeachment went to the Senate where he was going to be impeached on 2 articles. There was going to be a trial. And a trial was going to be held to observe whether or not this impeachment was legitimate and if he should be removed from office. Now, whether or not Alejandro Mayorkas actually committed these heinous things that he has been accused of, they're alleged. The things that he's been accused of, these 2 counts, these 2 articles, they're alleged. But one of these articles, of course, was that he willfully refused to enforce the nation's immigration laws. And the other one was that he breached the public trust with his statements to Congress about the high levels of illegal immigration at the southern border. Basically, meaning it's alleged that he lied to Congress, which is a felony. But before any sort of trial even happened, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said that neither of these counts met the standard of high crimes and misdemeanors. So this trial is therefore unconstitutional, and we shouldn't even hold a trial at all. We shouldn't hear any evidence. We should not see the evidence of the things that Alejandro Mayorkas is accused of. So they held a vote to simply dismiss the trial altogether without even having a trial. Insane. In the United States, when you're accused of a crime, I believe that you have the right to justice and that you have a right to a fair trial. But that being said, a trial has to commence because in order to find justice, to get to justice, you must first have a trial. In the House of Representatives, they are the representative of the people by the way of their respective districts. They decided that this should go to the Senate, and the Senate should have a trial to see whether or not Alejandro Mayorkas would be impeached. Now, I didn't expect much of this trial, but I expected them to at least have a trial. Now, the House of Representatives is the people's voice. And the House of Representatives said, the people said, you said, listen, I want to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas, and the Senate needs to look at this and either confirm or deny whether or not he should actually be removed from his position. But the Senate has denied that process completely for the first time ever. This has never happened in the history of the Senate. I mean, look at this. The United States Senate dismissed the 2 articles of impeachment filed against the Secretary of Homeland Security. This marks the first time in the nation's history that the Senate has eschewed the impeachment trial process. There have been 21 impeachment trials involving federal judges, a cabinet secretary, a senator, and 3 presidents. The House of Representatives voted to impeach Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on February the 13th. The chamber found that Mayorkas was derelict in duty as he had willfully refused to comply with the law and breached the public's trust. The Senate received the articles on April the 16th, triggering a trial of the cabinet member. Democrats currently controlled the chamber and were expected to dismiss charges or to vote against convicting Mayorkas. Yeah, I mean, we all expected a Democrat-controlled Senate to dismiss these dismiss these charges. But what we didn't expect is for them not to have a trial at all. I mean, what are they hiding? But on April 17th, the Senate voted 51-48 to dismiss the first article, alleging that Mayorkas' failure to secure the nation's southern border amid rising illegal crossings, human trafficking, and drug smuggling was willful. That's a very serious allegation. How does that not meet the bar of high crimes and misdemeanors? How? What is the bar of impeachment now? That's a huge question that we all need to ask ourselves. If you're the Secretary of Homeland Security, what do you have to do to meet these standards now? Because he didn't even have a trial. The voters were split along party lines, with Democrats calling the charge unconstitutional. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska was the only Republican not to vote against dismissing the first article of impeachment, opting instead to only vote present. And on the second one, the Senate then voted 51-49 to toss the second article of impeachment against Mayorkas regarding breaching public trust. Quote, this is from Chuck Schumer. The charges brought by Secretary Mayorkas failed to meet the high standard of high crimes and misdemeanors. Well, what is that high standard, Chuck Schumer? If lying to Congress, if literally a felony does not meet that high standard, what does? That's what he fails to explain. This makes no sense. Then he says, to validate this gross abuse of the House would be a grave mistake and could set a dangerous precedent for the future. I'm sorry, Chuck Schumer. You don't get to make that decision. The House, the people's voice, they said they are concerned with these things. And they made these allegations. So you just get to decide that you don't even hold a trial, that nobody gets to see the evidence. Is that what you get to decide? That's what he decided here. But Senate Republicans have pushed for a full trial and a thorough consideration of the articles brought against Mayorkas. At least 43 of the Senate's 46 Republicans co-signed a letter to Schumer demanding he, quote, properly adjudicate the charges against the cabinet of the Homeland Security Secretary. And this is the letter. Since 1797, 21 individuals have been impeached by the House of Representatives. Trials were held in every single instance except once when an impeached judge resigned from office before trial commenced. Absent Secretary Mayorkas' immediate resignation, this impeachment should remain faithful to the senatorial precedent. In the face of the disaster that mounts daily at our southern border and in communities across America, the House of Representatives has formally accused Alejandro Mayorkas of demeaning his office. The American people deserve to hear the evidence through a Senate trial in the court of impeachment. The Democrats appeared poised to dismiss the articles with haste at the start of the proceedings. After members of the chamber were sworn in as jurors, Schumer first asked for unanimous consent on a plan that would have allowed for debate time and for Republicans to raise various points of order before Democrats moved toward a motion to dismiss the charges. His request angered Republicans who promptly objected. Exactly. I was watching this too. It angered. I was like, what is happening here? Right? Because this whole process took several hours, and it wasn't talking that was going on. It was voting, because the Republicans, they're like, wait, this has never happened before in the history of the Senate. So therefore, I think we need to go into closed chambers and discuss exactly what you, the Democrats, are doing here. I mean, this is very risky business. This is a very bad precedent that you are setting, because now what is the bar for impeachment? If lying to Congress, if a felony is not the bar for impeachment, because that's an allegation that's being made against Mayorkas, then what is? What is? And that's something that Chuck Schumer refuses to explain. He just took his power and he did this, and all of the Democrats went along with him. All of these votes were along party lines. Most of them were 51 to 40 or 51 to 49, with the Republicans voting with the Republicans and the Democrats voting with the Democrats. But, quote, never before in the history of our republic has the Senate dismissed or tabled articles of impeachment when the impeached individual was alive and had not resigned, said Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri after rising. I will not assist Senator Schumer in setting our Constitution ablaze and bulldozing 200 years of precedent. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, who also objected, proposed adjourning the proceedings until April 30th. And Mitch McConnell of Kentucky also objected. Said, quote, at this point, in any trial in the country, the prosecution presents the case, the defense does the same, and the jury listens. But the Senate has not had the opportunity to perform this duty. John Cornyn. Now, this is a rare instance where I'm agreeing with the likes of John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell. You know, it doesn't happen very often, but it happened today. John Cornyn of Texas warned while speaking with a reporter from Fox that Senate Democrats are, quote, going to try to sweep this under the rug and act as if the Biden border crisis never existed. But the evidence is very plain, said Cornyn, noting that millions of people who have come across the border released into the interior, that 108,000 Americans have died from drugs that have come across the border, that when the Border Patrol has been overwhelmed by the sheer volume of humanity coming across, and that 450,000 children, who the Biden administration has simply lost, ostensibly placed with sponsors. And he said, quote, they don't feel like it's their responsibility to know whether they're being trafficked for sex or involuntary labor. So you can't sweep that under the rug. So for the first time in history, the Senate has decided not to even have a trial on articles of impeachment. And this goes to show, I believe that these people are they're just pure evil. They use their power. They bend the rules. And why are they doing it right now? Why are they doing it right now? I mean, if I were to, give them some sort of grace, I'd say, oh, maybe it's because the presidential election is coming up. Joe Biden, he is not looking very good in the polls whatsoever. They got to do everything that they can do to try to bring Trump down to Biden's level. They got to bog him down in the courts. He's not going to be able to campaign for probably at least a month, maybe 6 weeks plus. So any sort of negative press that comes out against someone from the Biden administration could be a hit on Joe Biden. But at the same time, you got to wonder, they've willfully allowed this border invasion to happen for years. So what are they planning here? And they don't want the American people to see these things that Mayorkas is accused of. Why? Because they are complicit in these things. And they are protecting. They all band together and try to build an impenetrable wall, which is ironic because they want to build a wall on the border. But when it comes to protecting one of their own, Mayorkas, they build this wall. And they use power as much as possible to their advantage. And it's absolutely disgusting. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. But until then, I will see you on the next one.